They thought you were quiet because you were weak. Turns out you were quiet because you were loading. They laughed at your silence, mocked your patience, misread your stillness as surrender. They kept swinging at shadows, trying to break you down, not realizing they weren't just swinging at you. They were picking a fight with the universe itself. They had no idea that the quiet one was the storm in disguise. While they were trying to bring you down, they were really just digging their own downfall. And now the reckoning feels personal, because it is. Before we go any further, pause. If you're a chosen one and you feel this message in your chest like a calling, like this video and subscribe to help wake more of us up. Every like, every sub, every share tells the YouTube algorithm this message needs to travel. You're not just helping yourself, you're pulling others out of the shadows too. This is how we spread the signal. Let's keep it moving. Now let's speak clearly, because the world never expected you to speak at all. They expected a lamb, gentle, soft, easy to overlook. But the universe doesn't waste power on noise. It hides it in silence. You wore the mask so well, they thought it was your face. Calm eyes, small movements. No threat, they assumed, no bite. But the universe chooses carefully, and it chose you. You were never alone. You were backed by something deeper, something older, a frequency they couldn't hear. While they were performing, you were preparing. They ran their mouths while you studied their patterns. They built alliances on lies. You built a strategy in silence. You weren't quiet out of fear. You were quiet because you were focused. And now that you've struck, they're confused, hurt even, shocked that the same soul they ignored is the one shaking their foundations. But they weren't fighting you, they were fighting the energy that sent you. They picked a battle with the current of the cosmos, and now they're drowning in consequences. Being chosen isn't about being better, it's about being built different. It's about carrying weight others run from. It's the loneliness in the crowd, the inner knowing that you don't belong to this world's games. It's that deep ache when you question your own light, when you wonder if maybe you're just imagining it all. But let me be clear, your doubt was their spell. Your belief is your weapon. Stop thinking you're alone. Stop apologizing for your power. The universe didn't invest all this in you for you to play small. The chills you feel when truth hits you, that's alignment. That's your spirit remembering what it came here to do. And your enemies? They feel it. They don't understand it, but they feel it. Your energy disturbs the lies they've built their lives on. Your growth reminds them of the work they're avoiding. You haunt them, not with ghosts, but with the reflection of everything they tried to suppress. So, no more shrinking, no more explaining your silence. You don't owe anyone a performance. You owe yourself the freedom to move like the force you are. Because the real threat was never the loudest in the room. It was the one who knew exactly when to strike and who to spare. Let the universe keep choosing. Let your presence keep disturbing. They weren't ready for you, but now they have no choice but to see you. So, if you've ever felt the sting of being underestimated, if your silence has been mistaken for weakness, you already know this message is yours. Drop the number 77 in the comments. If you've hit them so hard, they still can't figure out where the punch came from. That's the power of moving in silence. That's the force of the quiet ones. The universe didn't pick you to be seen. It picked you to be felt. And now, let's break it down step by step. If you're truly one of the chosen, something in you won't let you click away. Let's get into it. Number 1. They bit the hand that was holding them up. Now let them crawl. They thought you were soft because you held it all together. They thought you were weak because you kept forgiving. But even a dam has its limit. And when it breaks, it doesn't just leak. It washes out everything standing in its way. They never realized it, but the weight you carried, it wasn't just emotional. It wasn't just support. It was them. You carried their insecurities, their chaos, their irresponsibility, and made it all look effortless. But they got comfortable. They drank from your cup like it was endless, forgetting that even oceans pull back before they strike as tsunamis. And now, after all the taking, the draining, the backhanded comments and the fake smiles, they're confused. They want to know what happened. Here's what happened. The quiet one remembered who they were. The universe doesn't choose at random. It doesn't hand power to the loudest or the flashiest. It gives it to the ones who can handle it, the ones who can hold silence like a sword, who can endure betrayal without breaking, and still walk away without becoming what tried to hurt them. And you, chosen one, you are the proof of that power. You didn't just survive what they threw at you, you transformed through it. You didn't fight back in rage, you leveled up in silence. While they were running their mouths, you were outgrowing their reach. They don't understand how you're still standing. They don't understand how someone so sensitive, so emotional, so quiet could hit them where it hurts without even trying. But that's the thing. They were never fighting just you. They were messing with the system that placed you. They were gambling with universal order, mistaking your kindness for emptiness, your boundaries for breakdowns. And the universe, it doesn't forget who it backs. It always balances its accounts. You carried their weight, not because you were weak, but because you were built for more. You're the type who sees the cracks before they widen, who feels the energy shift before a word is spoken, who notices the way people look at you when they think you're not watching. You knew they were draining you, but you kept showing up anyway, hoping, just maybe, they'd grow. But instead, they grew bolder in their disrespect. They thought they had you figured out. And maybe for a while, they did. But the moment the universe reminded you who you are, it was game over. Now they call you cold, distant, changed. No, you're just no longer carrying weight that isn't yours. You're no longer softening your voice to make others comfortable. You're no longer setting yourself on fire to keep people warm. Some of you might be thinking right now, was I stupid for being so kind, for giving so much? No, you were chosen to see it all, to feel it all. That's the cost of the calling. The pain was never punishment, it was preparation. The betrayal was never a curse, it was calibration. Stop doubting your light just because others couldn't handle its warmth. Stop thinking your softness was a flaw. The quiet ones are not broken, they're tactical, and your silence, that was your setup. That was you watching, learning, remembering who you are. You were being studied by people who thought they were smarter. You were being drained by people who mistook your compassion for complacency. You were being tested by the very system that knew, once awakened, you would become unshakable. Let me make something clear. They weren't just ungrateful. They were arrogant. They thought they were stepping on you, but they were stepping on the groundwork of something ancient. And now, that ground is shifting. Now the foundation is cracking, and they can't figure out why the energy around you feels different. Why your absence hits harder than your presence ever did. Because when the universe chooses someone, it moves differently for them. It hides them in plain sight. It lets them take a few hits, lets them feel the sting of betrayal. Not to break them, but to sharpen them, to awaken them, to refine the weapon inside them. And now that you've remembered, they feel it. They know they messed up. They just don't know how bad yet. Chosen ones, hear this loud and clear. Stop shrinking to keep the peace. You were never meant to fit in with people who can't even carry their own weight. You were made to shift rooms, to disturb egos, to break cycles that have survived for generations. That's why it felt heavy. It was. You were carrying years, decades, lifetimes of patterns no one else dared to break. You're not too much. You're the reset button they fear. You're not emotional. You're in tune with forces they pretend don't exist. And you're not alone. The universe walks with you like a shadow, always present, always watching, always backing the one it chose. So the next time you wonder if you were wrong to care, the next time guilt tries to creep in after cutting someone off, remember, they weren't sorry when they drained you. They were only sorry when you finally said no more. And to those who thought they could use you, break you, silence you, congratulations. You just taught a chosen one how to hit without lifting a finger. Let them crawl now. Let them sit in the silence they mocked you for. Because now that you've reclaimed your power, they'll never hear silence the same way again. Number 2, don't mistake my silence for surrender. I was just waiting for the right angle to end the game. They thought you were easy to handle because you didn't strike back. They saw your calm and thought it meant weakness. But real ones know it takes power to pause. It takes strength to wait. And you, chosen one, were never passive. You were just patient. There's a difference. They called it softness. You knew it was strategy. While they plotted in whispers and moved in ego, you let them believe they were in control. You gave them room to show their true nature, not out of fear, but out of restraint. Because you knew the universe has its own timing, and when it's time for the truth to rise, no mask survives the light. You weren't placed in their life by accident. You weren't some background character in their little drama. You were a catalyst. You were the mirror they couldn't look into without flinching. You reflected every crack they tried to cover, every weakness they tried to bury, and that terrified them. You didn't need to expose them. They exposed themselves, trying to handle you. See, you were never just a person to them. You were an energetic event. Your presence shook things up without you saying a word. You didn't even have to try. Your frequency did the talking. And instead of respecting the energy you brought, they tried to steal from it. They tried to cage it. They wanted your light, but not the responsibility of being around it. So they tested you. They played games with your patience, confused compassion with control. They poked the wolf and laughed because it didn't bite back, forgetting that wolves don't bark when they hunt. They move in silence, and when they strike, it's never for show, it's for closure. While they were performing, you were transforming. Every time you kept your cool while they tried to provoke you, you were leveling up. Every time you walked away, instead of clapping back, the universe was taking notes. And when the time came to move, oh, you moved. You didn't burn bridges. You let them burn themselves by thinking they could cross you twice. You didn't seek revenge. You became living proof that karma doesn't always hit loud. It hits clean, and it hits with clarity. And if they're feeling the absence of your energy now, good. Because your presence was never ordinary. You weren't just nice to have around. You were the balance they never acknowledged, the peace they took for granted, the wisdom they dismissed. Some of them are still out here confused, asking why everything's falling apart. They think it's just bad luck, but you know better. You were holding up more than they realized. You were the anchor in the storm, and they cut the rope thinking it made them free. But when the storm came back around, there was nothing left to hold on to. So if you're sitting here doubting yourself, don't. Stop asking if you were too kind. Stop wondering if you should have fought back sooner. Restraint isn't weakness. It's the highest form of control. And when the universe fights for you, you don't need to raise your voice. The world shifts to clear your path. You were never meant to match their chaos. You were meant to end it. And that power? It doesn't need to prove itself. It just needs to be remembered. So, don't feel guilty for the silence. Don't feel bad for the distance. They didn't lose you. They lost access to the energy they never appreciated. And now, they can feel it. They're haunted by the echo of your calm, by the weight of your absence, by the realization that the one they called too soft was the only one strong enough to stand still while their lies fell apart. The power of being chosen isn't loud. It's in the pause, the silence, the refusal to dance in chaos. You didn't win by clapping back. You won by walking away undefeated. Let that silence ring. Let your energy speak louder than any confrontation ever could. Because the quiet ones, we don't need to roar to remind them who we are. Our presence was the storm, and our restraint was just the warning before it hit. Number 3. They thought you were the game, but you were the final exam. They thought they were playing with you, thought they were slick, clever, pulling strings, spinning lies, manipulating behind the scenes like they were writing the script. But what they didn't realize was they weren't the players. They were being tested. And you weren't the game. You were the measuring stick, the line they weren't supposed to cross, the storm warning they chose to ignore. They mistook your compassion for confusion, your calm for cluelessness, your humility for inferiority. But they couldn't have been more wrong. You were placed in their path not for entertainment, not for validation, not even for connection. You were sent as a checkpoint, a mirror, a moment from the universe itself saying, let's see what you'll do when something rare shows up. And they failed, miserably. Because the truth is, when the universe sends a chosen one into someone's life, it's never random. It's precise, it's intentional, You were never there just to share space. You were there to shift it. You weren't meant to be loved on the surface. You were meant to be recognized on a soul level. But they couldn't see past their ego. They couldn't recognize energy when it didn't come in loud, flashy, or wrapped in their usual fantasy. What they called vulnerability was alignment. What they saw as emotional was depth. You gave them the type of connection people pray for, but they weren't built to hold it. So they fumbled you badly. And now they're haunted by the moment they failed. Not just because they lost someone rare, but because deep down they knew. They felt it. There was something about you, something that made their spirit pause, even when their ego kept pushing. Something that made them nervous without understanding why. That was the universe tapping them on the shoulder, whispering, "This is different. Handle with care." But they didn't. Instead, they poked at your peace, mocked your intuition, dismissed your insights as too deep, your emotions as too much. They tried to test you, but ended up testing the laws that protect you. Chosen ones don't walk alone. Even when you feel alone, you are surrounded by forces far beyond this surface world. The universe doesn't send you into situations to be broken. It sends you in to reveal truth. You walked in as a light, and they chose to curse the brightness. You came in as balance, and they tried to tip the scale. They reached for your energy with dirty hands, and now they're wondering why everything around them feels like it's falling apart. Let it. They failed the test the moment they tried to manipulate what was sent to heal them, the moment they chose performance over presence, the moment they looked at someone built from stars and saw just another body in the room. Some of them will never admit it. They'll pretend they're fine. They'll pretend you were too intense, too sensitive, too much. But the truth is, they weren't enough. Not enough depth, not enough self-awareness, not enough integrity to handle the weight of real energy. You gave them a chance to grow, to evolve, to look in the mirror and finally confront their own reflection. And instead, they mocked the mirror, laughed at the light, ran from the one thing that could have actually helped them heal. So let them sit with it. Let them spin the story however they need to in their own head. You already passed your part of the test. You kept your integrity. You stayed aligned. You moved with clarity and compassion, even when it hurt. And now you've been elevated. Because the universe doesn't just test others through you, it also watches how you respond. And you didn't retaliate. You didn't stoop to their level. You held the line. And that is why you continue to rise. You weren't ordinary. You never were. And now they know that. Maybe too late, but they know. They couldn't recognize the value of your presence until it became an absence. And now, every fake smile they gave, every passive-aggressive jab, every moment they treated you like you were disposable, it all replays in their mind like echoes in an empty room. They thought they were winning. They thought they were clever. But in the end, they only played themselves. Because when you mishandle what the universe sends, you don't just lose a person, you lose your chance. And some chances don't come back. Number 4, They thought they were playing a sheep, but they were wrestling with a sleeping giant. They thought they had you figured out, thought they were outsmarting you, outslicking you. They thought your kindness was a flaw, that your grace was a weakness. They looked at your silence and assumed you had no idea what was happening behind your back. But the truth is, you knew exactly what they were doing. You just chose to move with grace instead of wrath. You chose evolution over ego. You chose growth over games. And that's where they messed up. Because you weren't sent into their life to be used. You were sent to guide, to elevate, to awaken something inside them they didn't even know was asleep. You were the moment in their life where they could have shifted for the better. The opportunity to meet something real for once. But instead of humbling themselves in the presence of rare energy, they tried to conquer it. They chose control over connection, manipulation over honesty, ego over evolution. And now they're left wondering why everything feels off, why no relationship after you seems to stick, why no energy feels as calm, as deep, as grounding as yours did. That's because they weren't interacting with just a person. They were interacting with alignment, with a force sent by the universe to give them a chance to wake up. And they fumbled that chance. You gave them love when confusion was all they gave you. You gave them clarity while they served chaos. You defended their name in rooms they'd never defend yours in. You believed in their potential more than they did themselves. That wasn't weakness. That was grace. You showed them what it feels like to be seen, even when they were trying to hide. You gave them access to your calm when they brought storms. You gave them protection, even while they plotted. They thought they were in control, thought they were the ones pulling strings, but they didn't realize the entire time they were being watched, not by some religious force, but by the energetic system that governs balance, by the laws that keep order in the chaos, by the same universe that chose you. They weren't fooling anyone but themselves. You could have snapped. You could have exposed every lie, clapped back with receipts, burned bridges with the same fire they tried to drown you in. But instead, you walked away. You let karma speak louder than your voice ever needed to. You let life deliver the lessons you were too evolved to teach with petty reactions. Because grace doesn't mean letting things slide forever. It means giving someone enough space to grow before they self-destruct. It's the silent countdown before the shift. And you gave them time. You gave them patience. You gave them every tool to do better. And they used those tools to dig their own grave. Now, they sit with the weight of your absence. Now, they hear your silence louder than your words ever rang. Now they realize you weren't the fool. They were. For thinking grace meant you didn't have limits. For thinking your boundaries were flexible. For thinking your presence was guaranteed. And chosen one, this is where you need to stop doubting. Stop questioning if you were too soft, too forgiving, too loyal. You weren't too anything. You were the lesson, the moment where their story could have turned, but they weren't ready. And now they're left to face the echo of that loss. Because when the universe sends someone into your life aligned, elevated, and intentional, and you violate that connection, that's not just a breakup. That's a spiritual decline. The energy that once covered them, protected them, balanced them, it walks out with you. So let them sit with their confusion. Let them scroll back through old messages, wondering how they misread the signs. Let them wonder why peace hasn't found them since. You don't owe them closure. You were the grace they didn't deserve. And now they'll never feel that warmth again. And you walk on, not bitter, but better, not angry, but aligned. Because your grace wasn't wasted, it was witnessed. The universe always keeps record, and when you lead with light, even when it hurts, you don't lose. You graduate. Number 5. They set fire to the bridge, then cried about the distance. They couldn't see you for what you were because they were blinded by a hunger for power that wasn't real. Titles, control, ego, status, that's what they chased. While you stood there, a whole force in human form. They looked past you, trying to dominate shadows. They were so caught up in their games, so obsessed with illusion, that they missed the rarest energy to ever enter their space. They didn't recognize the royalty in your spirit, because they couldn't even see the lack in their own. You walked in with presence, patience, peace. They saw it and mistook it for something soft. They thought they could manipulate it, mold it, twist it to serve them. They thought you were a tool when you were actually the test. And now? Now they sit in the wreckage of their own making. Everything they built on lies is crumbling. Everything they touched with false intent is decaying. Not because you cursed them, but because you're no longer there to hold it all up. Your presence was doing more work than they ever acknowledged. Your energy balanced rooms that would have fallen apart without you. And now that you're gone, the air feels heavier. The walls feel smaller. The silence, deafening. They're replaying it all in their mind now. Every moment they dismissed you, every word they twisted to protect their pride. Every time you offered love, clarity, and calm, and they returned it with confusion and cruelty. They mocked you when you prayed in silence for things to get better. They laughed at your peace because it didn't look like power. But real power doesn't need to prove itself. It just is. Now they understand, but it's too late. Now they see who you were, but your energy's no longer available to them. Now they crave your voice, but you've gone quiet. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You were never there to be broken. You were never meant to be conquered. You were placed in their life as a moment of truth, a checkpoint, a clean slate, a rare, powerful opportunity to shift into something greater. And they failed spectacularly. They thought they could play both sides, act one way to your face and another when your back was turned. But the universe was watching the whole time. And when a chosen one gets hurt, the system reacts. Energy doesn't lie. And now it's correcting the imbalance they created. They didn't just lose access to your presence, they lost the protection that came with it. The clarity, the grounding, the emotional safety they never acknowledged. Now they're surrounded by the very chaos they used to throw your way, except this time there's no one left to absorb it. No shield, no stabilizer, no you. And here's what hits them the hardest. You were never trying to punish them. You were trying to love them through their damage. You wanted to see them win, even when they wanted to see you fall. You were loyal beyond reason. You gave grace like it was endless. But everyone has a limit. And the moment you reached yours, the shift began. This question mark. This is the reckoning. And no, it's not revenge. It's reflection. A reflection of every moment they could have grown, but chose ego instead. Every chance they had to match your energy, but chose manipulation instead. Every time they were offered peace, and they chose war. Now they sit in silence and call it karma. But really, it's just the consequence of finally being left alone with themselves. And for people who spent their whole lives performing, being alone with truth is the loudest sound of all. So, Chosen One, don't look back. Don't soften your stride out of guilt. You didn't destroy them. They did that on their own. You were the chance to rebuild, the bridge to better, the blessing wrapped in quiet strength. They didn't just fumble a person. They fumbled alignment. They lost access to energy that can't be bought, imitated, or replaced. And now they'll feel the void of that loss in places they can't explain. That's the price of mishandling what was meant to heal them. That's the aftermath of disrespecting the very thing sent to help them rise. Let them sit in the silence. Let them study the wreckage. Because the reckoning isn't your revenge, it's their realization. And the scariest part? They'll never find that energy again. Number 6. You weren't hiding. You were loading. They looked at you and saw something soft, something safe. They called it sheep's clothing. They thought it meant you didn't have bite. But that wasn't a disguise. It was calculated wisdom. You weren't pretending to be weak. You were choosing to be still. You weren't scared to show your power. You were smart enough to protect it. Because not everyone deserves to witness the full range of what you carry. Not everyone is ready to see what silence can do when it finally speaks. You understood from the start. Real storms don't show off. They don't announce themselves. They gather in silence. They form in calm. And when they strike, they don't miss. That's what you were. Not passive. Not powerless. Prepared. While they were running wild, chasing control, playing loud games, you stayed grounded. You stayed quiet. You studied their moves, watched how they switched up when no one was looking. Not because you were afraid to respond, but because you knew timing was everything. You learned early, energy speaks louder than words. So you observed. You let their actions reveal their truth while your silence held yours. They saw your patience as passivity, your distance as indifference. They thought the calm in your presence meant you were clueless to what was happening behind the scenes. But that calm? That was years of inner warfare survived. That was wisdom earned, not borrowed. You didn't react because you weren't threatened. You didn't lash out because you already knew the outcome. And they confused that with inaction. But now, Now they know. You were never quiet because you had nothing to say. You were quiet because you had nothing to prove. That's what terrified them the most, and they didn't even know it yet. The power you carried wasn't performative. It was protective. You didn't need to shout. You didn't need to be seen. Because you felt different. And people can't lie to their energy. No matter how they dressed it up in ego or arrogance, something in them felt your presence was not something to play with. But they played anyway. They poked, they tested, they tried to bend your peace into submission. And the whole time they were confusing silence with surrender. But Chosen One, here's what you need to remember. What they underestimated was your restraint, not your reach. You could have moved different. You could have retaliated. You could have put them in their place 10 times over. But you didn't. Because your mission was never to destroy. It was to observe, to learn, to refine. You were preserving your power for the right moment. And when it came, you didn't even have to explode. You just removed yourself. And that absence was louder than any argument you could have had. They didn't lose a person. They lost protection. They lost clarity. They lost access to a source of calm that was keeping their whole storm from spiraling. You weren't hiding behind kindness. You were the kindness. But wrapped in it was a force forged by survival, tempered by betrayal, refined by time. You knew when to speak. You knew when to fall back. And most importantly, you knew when to stop giving energy to what refused to value it. That's calculated wisdom. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous in the best way. Because while they were performing for the crowd, you were mastering your craft in silence. While they were trying to impress, you were preparing to impact. And now that you've moved, they feel it. They might not understand it, but they feel it. The shift, the silence, the unbothered energy that used to keep them grounded, now gone. That's the moment people realize you weren't hiding. You weren't unsure. You were loading. And now it's too late to dodge the impact. Chosen One, keep that wisdom sharp. Not everyone deserves your truth. Not everyone gets to see what's behind the calm. Because real power doesn't beg to be seen. It chooses when and where to reveal itself. And when it does, it speaks once, and the whole room listens. Number 7. They took your silence as surrender, not realizing it was their sentence. You weren't quiet because you didn't know what was going on. You were quiet because you saw everything and chose to wait. While they ran their mouths, you read their patterns. While they staged performances for attention, you took mental notes. Every look, every fake laugh, every contradiction. You didn't miss a thing. But instead of reacting, you let them keep talking. Because silence is not weakness. It's strategy. You understood something they never could. Chaos is predictable. The loud ones always reveal themselves. The ones who scramble for control, who provoke, who test you just to feel powerful, those types always self-destruct. All you had to do was get out of the blast zone. And that's exactly what you did. You chose stillness over war, peace over ego. Not because you didn't have the power to strike, but because you had the patience to watch the whole play fall apart without lifting a finger. They thought your silence meant you had no comeback, no clue, no power. But in reality, you were giving them space to hang themselves with their own energy. And they did. You didn't need to expose them. They did it all on their own. You just let them think they were winning, while they revealed exactly who they were when no one was pretending anymore. That's where you outplayed them. You weren't reactive. You were disciplined. You weren't emotional. You were aware. And while they were busy choosing ego over empathy, clout over character, betrayal over loyalty, you kept your frequency clean. You stayed above it. Because once someone shows you what they're capable of doing to your peace, to your trust, to your loyalty, believe it. Silence becomes your armor. Distance becomes your justice. And here's the thing they still don't get. You didn't lose anything when you walked away. They did. They lost someone who read energy, not words, who responded to alignment, not performance, who wasn't impressed by surface-level connections or fake intentions. You didn't miss the red flags. You saw them. You just gave them time to either correct themselves or confirm your intuition. And when they confirmed it, you moved accordingly. No drama, no mess, just closure in the form of silence. Because real power, it doesn't explode, it exits. Let them call it cold. Let them spin their stories. Let them tell anyone who will listen that you changed or you switched up. You didn't change. You just stopped giving energy to what kept draining it. And now they're uncomfortable in the silence they thought they wanted. Now they're sitting in the same silence they once weaponized against you. But this time, it's not you hurting. It's them hearing the echo of everything they did. That's what chosen ones do. We move different. We don't retaliate. We recalculate. We don't fight battles we already won in silence. We let the universe handle what the ego can't reach. You were 10 steps ahead the whole time. Not because you were playing games, but because you understood that not all warfare is loud. Sometimes the most devastating strike is no strike at all. Just absence. Just indifference. Just watching them realize, too late, that you were the one holding the balance the entire time. You were never naive. You were measured. You were never oblivious. You were observant. You saw through the applause. You heard the shade behind the compliments. You felt the shift before the betrayal even happened. And instead of reacting, you withdrew. And when you withdrew, the whole system shook. Because when the quiet ones go silent for real, the room never sounds the same again. Let them deal with the silence. Let them sit with the truth they refused to hear when you were still speaking softly. Because now, you're done talking. You've said everything without saying a word. And they'll never forget the sound of what it feels like to lose someone who never raised their voice, but still shook their world to the core. Number 8. They called you ordinary because they couldn't fathom what power looks like when it's not begging to be seen. You were never meant to blend in, but for a while you did. Not because you lacked anything, but because you were strategic. You let them see what they were able to process. You kept the rest locked away, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because wolves don't growl for attention. They don't bark to prove their presence. They bite when it's time, and until then, they move silent. That's you. You were never the loudest in the room, but your energy always had weight. The kind of weight that doesn't ask for permission. It just settles in and changes the air. They felt it, even if they didn't know what they were feeling. That shift in the atmosphere when you entered a space. That was your power making an entrance before you even spoke. You never needed to fake confidence. You never had to force a personality. You were enough, exactly as you are. But the world doesn't know how to handle people like that. So they labeled you ordinary, because if they admitted how rare you were, they'd have to admit they weren't ready for it. So they wrote you off. And in doing so, they wrote their own regret. Your patience wasn't passivity. It was power, refined over time. It was the kind of calm that only comes from having been through storms most people would have drowned in. You didn't talk about your battles. You just walked in like someone who'd already won. And that mask you wore, that wasn't deception. That was armor. Because people like you, people with depth, with clarity, with purpose, can't afford to be fully exposed. You wore normalcy like a cloak. You let them assume, let them project, let them underestimate. Because underestimation was your greatest weapon. They saw a quiet soul and thought you were harmless. But inside, you were calculating, rebuilding, becoming, waiting for the moment when everything aligned. And when it did, you didn't make a scene, you made a shift. You changed the dynamic without saying a word. You left rooms without slamming doors. You stopped explaining. And that silence, that stillness, that exit, it hit harder than any explosion ever could. They didn't notice when you started pulling back, didn't see it coming when your energy stopped feeding theirs, because they were too distracted by their own performance to realize they were standing on borrowed ground, your ground. And when you left, they finally saw it. The invisible scaffolding that was holding them up. Gone. The steady calm they thought was just background noise. Gone. The emotional stability they drained without gratitude. Gone. Now they're calling it a loss. But the truth is, they never really had you. They had access, temporary, conditional, sacred. And when they failed to respect it, it vanished like mist. That's the thing about people like you. You don't have to announce your value. You become the lesson. You show up, shift the vibration, and if they don't honor it, you disappear and leave them wondering why nothing feels stable anymore. Chosen One, understand this. They never saw you because they didn't know what to look for. They were searching for noise, not presence. For flash, not fire. For dominance, not depth. And when you didn't play by their rules, They labeled you as basic, boring, unremarkable. But that says more about their blindness than it ever did about your brilliance. You weren't made to perform. You were made to perceive, to protect your frequency, to grow in the shadows until the moment came where hiding became limiting. And now that you've stepped into clarity, your crown is no longer hidden. Your silence is no longer mistaken, and your presence no longer diluted to fit spaces too small to hold your truth. So let them think what they want. Let them spin stories to cover the cracks they created. You don't need their validation. You never did, because you were never ordinary. And the day you stopped trying to prove that is the day they realized they were in the presence of something they'll never find again. Number 9. They didn't just wake you up. They unleashed what they can't unsee. You feel it, don't you? The shift, the edge in your breath, that fire under the stillness, that weight behind every step you take now. This isn't who you became. This is who you were before the world tried to put you to sleep. The truth is, the game was always rigged. You saw it. You felt it in the way fake people won loud, while the real ones sat silent, burdened with depth. But you stayed quiet, not because you agreed, but because you were watching, measuring, waiting. Now, the wait is over. The walls are closing in, and you're not the one trapped. You're the one they tried to corner, thinking you'd break. But wolves don't break. They remember. And now, the wolf is awake. This isn't about revenge. It's about return. Returning to the self that was always there, before the betrayals, before the gaslighting, before the long nights of questioning your own sanity just to keep the peace. You don't keep the peace anymore. You are the peace. And anyone who brings war to your gates now has to deal with the one thing they never expected to face. You, with your eyes wide open. The version of you that's here now. They didn't see this coming. They thought they'd broken you. They thought the silence meant submission. But it was sacred healing. And in that silence, you rebuilt everything they tried to destroy. You stitched your spirit back together with the thread of every lesson. You wrapped yourself in the truth they hoped you'd never see. And when you rose, you didn't roar. You didn't announce it. You shifted the atmosphere. And suddenly, everyone who used to walk all over you now walks carefully. Because your presence doesn't ask for respect anymore. It commands it. This is a new era. You don't explain your boundaries. You don't overextend just to be included. You don't tolerate crumbs and call it love. The door is closed for good on anything that doesn't honor your energy. They're scared now, not just of what you might do, but of what they triggered. They thought they were manipulating you, mocking you, outplaying you. But all they did was wake the one thing they should have left alone. Your clarity. You now walk with full awareness of who you are, of what you carry, of what you're no longer willing to tolerate in the name of loyalty, nostalgia, or fake peace. And this version of you, it doesn't chase. It chooses. It chooses truth, even if it means walking alone. It chooses alignment, even if it means burning bridges. It chooses self-respect, even if it costs applause. You didn't become this overnight. You were forged in betrayal, in disappointment, in lonely nights when your only company was your own questions. And instead of turning bitter, you turned inward. You sat in the fire, and you came out flame-proof. And now, there's no going back. You couldn't shrink again if you tried. You couldn't pretend to unsee what your intuition already confirmed. That mask they loved, gone. That version of you who tolerated the disrespect, buried. The era of you bending, breaking, and explaining your worth to people who couldn't meet your energy, dead and done. This isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. And now, if they want access, they come correct, or they don't come at all. Because you're not playing with fire anymore. You are the fire. You are the closure, the consequence, the end of the cycle they thought would last forever. You were never meant to be toyed with. You were never meant to stay silent. And now they understand. The wolf doesn't warn. The wolf doesn't plead. The wolf waits. And when it moves, it changes everything. So let the world adjust. Let them feel the difference. You don't owe softness to those who handled your heart like it was disposable. You owe truth to the one person who never gave up on you, even when you forgot who you were, yourself. The wolf is awake, and nothing will ever be the same again.